Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with us today, she is a nail artist and COO of Red Iguana. Please welcome Analuisa. Hello, Analuisa, and welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Hello, Asia.
I want to get started by asking where you're originally from and tell us about your upbringing.
All right. We're going to sum it up. I'm from San Diego, California.
Mhm.
I was actually born overseas, but I was a military baby. So I came here around the time I was like 3 months old. My mom's from the Philippines and my dad was in the Air Force. And I was actually born in Okinawa, Japan. And then
Mm.
right after I was born, we moved to California. So
Okay.
I was born overseas, but we can't really claim overseas. I didn't know what was going on. So we stationed in Travis Air Force Base and then eventually moved to Southern California. I was there probably up until I was 5, and that's when I came to Las Vegas. And I've been in Las Vegas ever since,
Mhm.
besides when I left and lived in other places when
Right.
my husband was in the military.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we just military background per se.
Oh, wow. So you pretty much just traveled, around different places and stuff.
Pretty much. Not everywhere that
Mhm.
I wanted to go, I have to
Right.
say that, but definitely did some traveling for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to also get into school experience. Considering you traveled in different parts of the world, like what was like your school experience like as far as like grade school, college, beauty school, and things like that?
Gotcha. Okay, so let's start with high school and middle
Okay.
school. That's the core right there. I was brought up in Las Vegas, so I went to
Mhm.
middle school and high school out here, which was great. I actually really enjoyed my high school experiences. Of course, there's a share of good days and bad days and crazy things that
Right.
happen, but I look back at my high school experience as
Mhm.
something pretty pretty memorable. Pretty memorable.
Right.
Um, I
Mhm.
had my first child, I think 2 months after graduation, which is when I started college. So I was a mom pretty early. Um, and I started college right away. I was actually a pre-med student, which
Mhm.
I do not use my biology degree at all. Not at all. Um, it wasn't necessarily a waste, but not something I do currently and probably
Right.
won't do in the future either. But college life was pretty fun,
Mhm.
especially as a mom, and I worked at the same time. So I guess, to add on to that, but well, let's start from how I got here to where I
Yeah,
am.
yeah, yeah. Right.
Um, so I've had a lot of odd jobs, but most of the time,
Mhm.
what was I going to say? I would say my experience is mainly in customer service. Customer service.
Okay.
I'm a people person. I love being around people. I love interacting with people. Um,
Mhm.
I'm going to be an honest person and say, like, as much as I love interacting and hanging out with people, sometimes people
Right.
aren't. I like my alone time too, and I don't want to be in like huge crowds and stuff all the time. But I
Right.
enjoy interaction.
Mhm.
So I've worked at Hooters, Buffalo Wild Wings. I used to work at Ed Hardy's store when that was still a popular brand so long ago.
Mhm. Right.
Charlotte Russe, stuff like that. So it's mainly been like retail
Mhm.
food service. I've cocktailed. Let's just say I've
Mhm.
been a part of like the Vegas strip life.
Right.
It was a fun life. It was a money making life. It was great.
Mhm.
But I wasn't having as much time with my family as I wanted to.
Mhm.
And with my husband being in the military at that time, it was a lot of moving around, and it was kind of easier to find a job with the
Right.
skills that I had. But at the same time, I couldn't
Mhm.
really like find anything where I knew I could establish some roots. Um,
Right.
so we've lived in California. I think Fort Irwin, California, so middle of nowhere, California. We lived
Right.
in upstate New York. Not my
Mhm.
favorite at all. Not my favorite. Georgia. There's been a few other places, and so it was like I would be able to bartend or find like a restaurant job or something in retail when I was there.
Right.
So let's say in 2016, my husband decided to separate from the military, and
Mhm.
that was a huge transition for us because it was me kind of living. in the military wife shadow, as I will call it, for the longest time. So when we came back, he was doing his transition in order to find a job, you know, hang out with the kids. And I was working like 3 different jobs at the time. I think I worked at Dave & Buster's that opened up here. I worked at GameStop. I had another retail job. And then I was back to the whole, I want to spend more time with my kids. And then this is when nail school came into play. And I was like, I want to do something that, you know, where I can meet new people, be creative, be my own boss, make my own schedule, you know, so I can have enough time with my kids. I don't know why I chose nails. There was other things I could have done. I could have been an esthetician. I could have done hair. I could have done so many other things, but I loved watching nail tutorials on YouTube. First YouTuber that I watched was actually April, which is how she got started. So April from Red Iguana were a lot of the tutorials that I watched at the time. So she was a big inspo for me. A lot of other people like Selena Ryden, like just so many people that we know in the industry today. And I was like, I really like this. Like I get to create, you know, art and make designs on hands and these little canvases. And it was just something that I enjoyed doing. So prior to joining school, I had no experience in doing nails at all. So I went out to school out here. I just found one that had a nail program that was separate, rather than taking going for the full cosmetology license. I just wanted to do nails and I didn't want to do everything else. So the Academy of Hair Design is where I went to, which is out here, and they do have the full Cosmo license, but they separate everything out too. So you know you can complete your hours for whatever specialty you wanted to take. So I did nails. So looking back, I guess since I had no experience, I couldn't really base my school experience off of anything else. So to me, I felt like I learned a lot when most people who probably have done nails already were like, oh, I didn't really learn that much. It was mainly about sanitation. You know, sanitation is clearly important. And I have to say, it is. You learn a few other things, the basics, you know, you get to take clients, you get to work on projects in your own time, stuff like that. But to me, I felt like it was a pretty good experience. I wish jumping in, they would have taught a lot more. Maybe it depends on
I agree.
School or the school of choice or I'm not sure. I would say that I think they should have made it maybe a little bit longer and had more specialties that we learned rather than just the basics. Sanitation, it's kind of like get in, get out to get your license so you can start. And then you kind of go in and have no idea about anything except for sanitation. So that was back in 2018. So then there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened between when I graduated, which I graduated the day before Christmas. So it was a nice little Christmas gift to myself. I tried to do my hours early so that I could treat myself to a Christmas present of having my license. So then I was official that year. Yeah. And I've been doing nails ever since.
Wow, that's really, really cool. And to add on to that, I did like cosmetology courses in my high school. And I can agree, like they don't teach you everything. So like how you said, it's that get in, get out type of thing. You know, and the thing is with State Board, the whole thing with like practical, with acrylic, you only, you know, you cover one section, like a small section, like nails is like the smallest section, you know. And so the only thing you have to do part of State Board as far as nails is do one acrylic nail. Everything else is basically hair, you know. And when I got into the cosmetology program, I wanted to do nails. I got interested in nails since I was like 13, 14 years old, you know, and things like that. So I was like, yo, I want to, you know, be a licensed nail artist, nail tech, and things like that. So, you know, but I do agree, like there again, it should have been more in depth as far as, you know, the nail sector and things, or it should have been longer in some sort of way.
I know that we hear the same conversation with many other people in the industry. I hate to say that, like, oh, it was such a waste of time, which makes like people that are coming up in the industry not want to get get their license because of that. I still feel like everyone should go
Yeah.
to get, get certified, get licensed, to learn the basics, and
Right.
just to protect yourself. Like if you were
Yeah.
going to sit here and, be a part of, the nail industry or any industry,
Yeah.
it's good to get your certification. It's good to have that background. It's good to have that license to save your butt in case anything ever goes wrong as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I would rather, go to a doctor that's been through, to medical school and stuff like that. I'd rather
Yeah.
get experience
Exactly.
with someone, and if you start off and you're self-taught and you feel like you know more than anybody who would have started from school, like me, for example, I knew nothing, but get your certification, get your license later down the road. I'm going to say that now. I'm going to say it here.
Yeah.
Nothing against you if you don't have it now, but it's something you should definitely work towards, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like how you said, it does cover you, and plus, you're authorized to do things, when you're licensed, rather than you being unlicensed. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. I want to go ahead and push forward and talk about your business called NailedAF, where you sell your own nail brushes, decals, foils, and other things of that nature. So what has been the journey as far as having your own business, and was there any setbacks as far as building your own brand?
Surprisingly, it wasn't as complicated as I thought it was
Mhm.
gonna be, because I've worked with businesses before. I've even had my own prior to that. We weren't selling nail products.
Mhm.
But what was I gonna say? So it started with the help of April, of course.
Mhm.
I was working with I was co-owner of Nailboxy at the time, and
Mhm.
working with Red Iguana. So I had a lot of business experience with apps like Shopify and stuff like that, finding vendors, testing products, creating your
Right.
own packaging, all that. So I did start that with experience already there. So it's
Yep.
like Nailboxy's doing great. I'm watching my best friend work Red Iguana. This is working wonderful. I want to start something of my own. Um,
Mhm.
that was 2022, March of 2022. It launched on my birthday. I
Mm.
started with, everything always starts on my birthday. I feel like it's the perfect time to start anything new.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that's pretty much how it started. That's pretty much how it started. March of 2022, I
Mhm.
launched pretty much everything that I have now: nail brushes, nail art foils.
Mhm.
I designed all packaging on my own, which is probably my favorite part. I love my brand colors. I love my brand. Um,
Mhm.
that was probably, testing products and creating my packaging go hand in hand, but creating packaging was
Mhm.
probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's absolutely cool. So a while back, I had a chance to speak with an interview. The founder of Red Iguana, April Ryan. She's absolutely very, very cool, very sweet individual. You're also the COO of Red Iguana, but also the sales marketing director for Red Iguana. So how did the whole thing with working with Red Iguana come about?
So we will owe this all to my friendship with April. It's really a friendship. That's what it is. Like, we work together, we work side by side, but it's
Mhm.
because of a friendship. But it started because of Nailboxy.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely will always love to talk about Nailboxy. It's not a thing anymore. Maybe in the future, but as of right now, it's sadly a dying breed. That's what I'm going to call it. Subscription boxes are not the same as they used to be before. A lot of people don't
Mhm.
really do subscriptions as they used to, and in my opinion, at least. Um,
Mhm.
but we met through there, and I was a subscriber of her Nailbox when it had first started. And we started talking online because of that. And
Mhm.
that's when the friendship had started. So
Right.
then she needed some help with Nailboxy so she can continue projects with Red Iguana. And she was like, do you want to go in business together? We split everything 50-50. You can, you'll handle pretty much all operations of everything. And I was like, sure. But she was in
Mhm.
California and I was in Las Vegas. So what ended up happening is I had a ton of pallets get shipped to my home, and I was shipping Nailboxy out of my house. This was back in 2019. And I did this for a good 3 months, well, no, I did it for 3 months, and then COVID had
Mhm.
hit.
Right.
And Not that this made business bad or anything, but it was a lot busier than I had planned
Mm-hmm.
for just starting out. So we were doing that for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Nailboxy was so much fun. It was super popular, especially during the pandemic. You had people, learning how to do nails. That was the
Right.
emergence of many, many self-taught artists
Right.
that we have seen today for sure. It brought tremendous growth to the nail industry, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
recognition to many companies, especially with Nailboxy, since we featured
Right.
quite a few different companies in the subscription box. So a lot of people were getting introduced to a ton of brands, having this amazing subscription box to send to their door,
Mm-hmm.
filled with nail products every day. So let's just say I did really, really well with that project. I was
Right.
so happy of all the growth that Nailboxy had. And
Mm-hmm.
April was too. She was like, wow, I didn't expect it to get this big. You're amazing. Because of that, that's when I got put on Red Iguana as well to help. But it was mainly
Mm-hmm.
like my expertise, but at the same time, like April and I's friendship. So any single time, a friend
Mm-hmm.
needs help, it's like, I'm there. I'm going to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take care of it. And so I started out doing social media management for Red Iguana at first. Um, After that, time just went by, things got busy. I was still working Nailboxy. I was doing social media management for Red Iguana, along with like creating different graphic designs, testing
Right.
products with PR. It was just kind of hard to kind of say exactly what I do because I do a
Right.
lot. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, hey, Anna, can you do this?
Exactly.
And I'll be like, yeah, exactly. It was kind of like that. So I didn't really have like a set job description or title or anything like that. I was just
Mm.
the other half, in all honesty. We what happened around we ended up moving operations for both Nailboxy and Red Iguana. I wasn't working with operations for Red Iguana at this time, but
Right.
Nailboxy was getting pretty busy and I wanted to work on other things, building my own brand, working on things that packaging and mailing products out was taking a lot of my time, but I wanted
Right.
to expand further. So we looked into fulfillment centers to ship out both Red Iguana and Nailboxy. I'm not even going to get into that mess, but I'm going to say I highly do not recommend anyone working with a fulfillment center unless you're like, I don't know, Nike or some huge brand with a non-complicated product. I'm going to say
Mm-hmm.
non-complicated as in like shoes or clothes. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
not practice hands or anything that you kind of have to like look over and see. So after that, it was a crazy, crazy time. For those that know me, know how crazy it was. And then because the fulfillment center did such a horrible job, fulfillment centers did such a horrible job, I took over operations and opened up our own warehouse here in Vegas. This is what I do best. The customer service, the packaging, the shipping. Because I was doing social media content, I loved being able to like film the warehouse, film us packaging everything, all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we got our keys to the warehouse. We had nothing in it. we had our issue with the fulfillment center. One of the issues was let's just say it was a crazy lawsuit and they were
Mm.
holding our products, Nailboxy and Red Iguana included. So when we did get this
Mhm.
warehouse, we had to pretty much start from scratch. Like we
Right.
had all of our products, we had, everything, but we had to rebuy everything that we had, get it in, get
Right.
furniture in, get shelves in, get all this.
Mhm.
It was a busy, busy time period.
Right.
But we never closed the stores down. We never ceased operations. We kept going. We just had to let everybody know there was a little bit of a delay, and this is what happened. So the stuff with the fulfillment center, we did connect with all of our followers to kind of let them know the situation's got a little crazy and this is how we're
Mhm.
handling it.
Right.
Um, so I still do that. We're doing that. The warehouse for both Nailboxy, NailedAF, and Red Iguana are all here in Vegas. And I run full operations for all of that. I have taken a step back to concentrate on other things. And then we have a team that processes and fulfills orders. And then they kind of call me when they need me. So that's kind of where we're at now. Like that's
Okay.
what we're doing now.
I want to go ahead and shift gears and talk about having your own nail studio. So what has been the experience as far as you having your own nail studio?
It was more of a thing prior to COVID. That's when I was
Mhm.
taking clients. And then when we shut down, I actually shut down and I didn't, stay open or anything like that. When we were given
Right.
the okay to open up, I was already so immersed into Nailboxy and Red Iguana and social media and all that other stuff, content creating, that I never opened back up. So
Mhm.
I'm in it right now. I am in my nail studio right now. This is pretty
Mhm.
much where I create content, do my own nails, film, unpackage,
Right.
create all of that other stuff. I do want to open back up again. I kind of miss the interaction. I kind of miss having clients. I see everyone else, with their before and after pics, creating like so many fun nails. And I feel like I could have more options for creativity and
Right.
human interaction, since I work at
Mhm.
home so much, by opening up my books again. So
Mhm.
let's just say it's something that I missed, but I currently do not do, but want to do again. I miss having
Right.
clients a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's totally understandable. I want to get into as far as business and salon ownership. So, was there ever a time you experienced like slow days? And if so, like how were you able to cope with slow days?
Well, let's separate that. So for clients, or for having a clientele and having a nail studio, slow days were always fun days. Like, I know that you wanted to, bring in the bacon, make the money,
Mhm.
which is fine, but you can only do so much with that. It was my time to actually create in between. So to create like
Mhm.
nails, um, unbox PR, like doing other stuff. So I
Right.
actually
Yeah.
enjoyed my slow days. I was like, oh, we've been busy all week. I actually
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a few 2 days that weren't the weekend, that I could just do something other than having clients, because sometimes it's a back-to-back day, you're pretty busy.
Yeah.
I consider a slow day a good day,
Mhm.
and more time with my family, of course. In
Mhm.
business, it's a little different. It's a little
Mhm.
different. You have a lot more bills when you own a business. So on top of just being like, oh, there's product, there's like platforms that you have to pay for, there's people that you have to pay, there's a lot more things you have to pay for. So a slower day in business is like, oh no, we have to make a certain amount of sales for this day to make sense. And so
Right. Mhm.
you had to put in a little bit more work to make up for that, or you would like start a sale, or you would reach out to people, do a giveaway, something like that, in order to meet a certain amount of sales that you would have for that month. I never did that when it came to doing nails. It was so much more freedom and being like, I don't have to meet this goal. I don't have to meet this goal. I kind of just like came. With business, it was a little bit different. So it's like with slow days, you
Mhm.
had to take it a little bit more serious, regroup, brainstorm, figure out how to meet this quota in order to keep all
Mhm.
your bills paid, your employees paid, you paid, all that other stuff. You
Right.
would think it would be the same for having clientele, but it worked a little bit differently for me, per se.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to get into as far as clients. Have you ever had an experience with a difficult client?
Y- Yes. Yes. Not as much as I thought I would.
Mhm.
But it was mainly in the salon setting
Mhm.
versus when I had my own clientele. The salon
Mhm.
setting brought you some interesting people, but it was always
Mhm.
the type, the group of people that you would get are always the in and out type of people when you're working in the salon. And when you're
Right.
starting out, or when you actually, I'm not trying to knock anybody for saying this, but
Mhm.
I take my time when it comes to my clients. And in the
Right.
salon setting, you
Mhm.
cannot do that. It's get in, get out.
Yeah.
The people that are working there want you to go in, go out. I don't know if it's based on the type of salon that you're working in, but I'm gonna say like 85% of them work this way. You want them in, you want them out. The more people in, the more money you make, the more overhead that you pay, all that other stuff. I did
Mhm.
not like that. And because of that, I always had people that were mad because I took too long, were always rushing me, didn't like how I did certain things because other people in the shop or other people in other salons did it this way. So it was all
Right.
like you had to do everything a certain way, And if you didn't, people wanted to make sure you knew about it. Wanted to make sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a specific situation, I enjoy doing dry manicures in the salon setting. Apparently, that's not a thing unless it's, I don't know, a certain salon. And so the soaking of the hands to where they get all pruny and wrinkly, and there's all that excess dead skin that's over here. That's what she wanted to do, this specific client. And I was like, you know what? I have a better option for you, and it's going to work so much better. Your nails are going to look so much more aesthetically pleasing, and to me, the dry manicure prevents a lot of things that could go wrong, such as like lifting or greenies, too much moisture on the nails, stuff like that. So I prefer dry manicures over anything. And so she's like, you know what? No, we're not going to do what you want to do. We're going to do what I want to do. And we're going to do this wet manicure. So she like took it upon herself to grab a bowl, some soap, do it herself, took my nippers off my desk, started nipping herself. She started bleeding. I'm like, okay, lady, you're doing a lot. I love you and everything, but this is not okay. I'm the professional here. You are the client. I know if you want to do whatever you want to do, then you need to find somebody else that wants to do that for you, because it's not about to happen up in here. You had to put your foot down for most of these situations. But when she started cutting herself and with the nippers and her nails started bleeding, I was like, see, because then now you're going to sit here and tell somebody that I did this, and that's not going to happen. So I'm going to need you to go. That was probably like my interaction that I remember the most. But the whole salon experience was kind of like this. Everybody knew what they wanted everything a certain way from however they were taught at a salon prior. And it was just something that I didn't like, which is why I left the salon setting and wanted to open my own studio to take my own clientele. That's how I got
here. Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is that I had that similar experience too, because I worked in a spa salon, my very last year of college, being a nail tech. And yeah, you deal with certain people that want things a certain way, and it's just, how you said, they're again like get in, get out, you have a certain amount of time to do a manicure, pedicure. And, I've dealt with like very few, like, difficult clients and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like they'll say, oh, they'll talk with you and things like that, interact with you, but then they go and say, oh, well, the service was terrible and stuff like that. So you run into people, certain people that will say things or complain about stuff to get free service.
And it is what it is. Like we're keeping it 100. Like people are like, well, I would never do that, or how dare you say that? But we are the ones experiencing these situations.
Exactly right.
To be open and honest about them, because these are the kind of things that we see, and we talk about it so other nail techs are aware. Like this is stuff that may happen. This is how we handle the situation. But it's like, I don't know, in this day and age, anytime that you talk about or say anything, somebody takes offense to it, no matter if they agree or don't agree. And that's just the world we live in today. But I don't think we should be afraid of sitting here talking about it, or being afraid of separating yourself from the salon setting and having your own clientele, because you want that good energy. You want good energy, coming to see you. You don't want
absolutely
stuff. So I agree. I'm glad we're on the same page when it came to that.
Yeah, right, exactly. And the thing is, that's what I like about, when I started my podcast, I want to not only highlight other people, but also talk about issues that really mattered, because I know like, other parts of the nail industry may not really cover that. You know what I mean? So it is definitely up to those of us who are about being progressive, who are about, pushing the nail industry forward. You know what I mean? And nail artists and people in the industry are about pushing it forward. But I think part of that is to, really talk about issues that matter, that help, make the industry become progressive. So that's very important.
And I think it starts with even just talking about it, because most of the time, especially with a lot of creators that, rely on social media for, getting that coverage and, building that following and stuff like that. A lot of us are in a way slave to the algorithm, that people don't want to hear about these certain things. They either want to be attracted to like drama, or you pushing content that benefits them in some sort of way. And then when you're actually having those serious conversations and you're taking it back to the basics and you're worried about these certain issues, a lot of times no one's really listening. So you make the content that the algorithm wants you to make in order for you to still build your brand yourself. But we kind of forget that there's a whole community of people that we're here that look up to us, that we need to not necessarily take advantage of, but take advantage of the opportunity to
the opportunity,
and put that stuff out there. So I know that you've had so many wonderful people that have been on your podcast so far. And these are people that have a great following that people look up to, and being able to talk about those issues, no matter how big the platform is, matters. So matters. So you're doing a great thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I want to get into as far as the nail industry. So what are some things that you like about the nail industry, but also what are some things you think the nail industry could be improved on?
This is a tough question. I don't know about this one. I love the nail industry. Let's say that. I love the people in it. I know when you're in it for a long time, you see a lot of things change. You see a lot of things come back. You see a lot of people who used to be so in it not even be here anymore. You see the emergence of new people. I guess I would piggyback on what we just said, and I feel like, actually, I'm going to keep it real. I feel like with COVID, with TikTok, with a bunch of emergence of nonsense, a lot of things in the industry have changed to where in more of a negative viewpoint. One, we don't get the recognition that we deserve as artists, as beauty influencers as well too, because nails are beauty. And we work so hard already to try to get ourselves that recognition in the beauty industry, the same way as hair and makeup and all that other stuff. And I have to say, when TikTok came about and COVID came about and everybody just felt like they knew everything that they were doing, it ruined us. It ruined us. Oh, I feel like I'm sharpening a sword by saying that, because I don't want to sit here and knock anybody that became a nail artist or does really well because of TikTok. But I've seen some crazy things, like people substituting monomer when doing acrylic application with things like apple cider vinegar and alcohol and all kinds of stuff like that. And then you see no sanitation happening at all. You see the emergence of contact dermatitis that people are dealing with, and they want to sit here and blame everybody and their products and all this other stuff because they want something to happen to them, because they have no direction, no guidance, no education on how to use any of this stuff. They're just like, oh, they're just doing nails, I can do this too. That's a lot of what I see in the industry now. I don't want to knock anybody who doesn't have their license, who doesn't, because that's really where it's coming from, in all honesty. Like, I don't need an education to do this, but then you're out here doing all this kind of, these challenges and these crazy things. And I feel like that made us as a nail industry have to take 10 steps back. So now we have to sit here and be like, oh, these people are creating designs, they're doing this, but then you're like, wow, this is really great art, but her nail's kind of lumpy, her apex isn't built well, her client's nails or cuticles are all messed up, stuff like this. Like, we have to reteach the basics of what we all originally learned all over again. And then you talk about this stuff and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or that's new to me. And I'm like, how's that new? Washing hands is new. Like, that's how COVID started. Washing hands was new to everybody. No one knew how to be clean anymore. It was stuff like that kind of happened. I have nothing against TikTok whatsoever, but everybody is always out here to find a reason to go viral in some way. And that kind of diminishes like morality sometimes, and the proper way to do things, because you're so worried about views and how this person would see this and how this person would see that. And it sucks. Like, we can't properly educate and entertain because of people that are trying to get those things, or trying to, go viral for this reason or that reason. And I totally forgot the question exactly, but that's how I feel the industry has changed, and something that, like, I feel like we kind of just have to redo everything again and reteach, and these new emergence of nail artists that are showing up kind of need that basic information and that basic knowledge that all of us have known for so long.
Right.
And okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does go along with the question. So you answered it,
I felt like
well.
I trailed off. Sorry.
You answered it well, but the thing is to add on to that, I think that's why like I'm glad that certain people who are not only who are nail techs or nail artists, but also who are personal artists are saying, hey, be sure to, don't use acetone and gel for airbrushing, because that was the thing, and then more people started becoming aware about like, oh, this is dangerous and stuff like that. Even I used that at one point. It's like, oh no, if it gets to the air, it's very, very toxic. You know what I mean? And plus you can get like, there again, contact dermatitis and, get allergic reactions to gel products. And so I'm glad that there are people that are educating other people, as far as the dangers of using products with your bare hands and stuff like that. And that's something you're not supposed to do. You know what I mean? And you can't blame, other people that, that didn't know, because, a lot of us didn't know. We didn't know like this stuff was dangerous, but people that are spreading awareness about it, I'm glad, because that helps like, hey, we're pushing the industry forward by providing safety, by spreading awareness about safety and things like that. Another thing too about with the nail industry is that there are nail artists that are doing like fashion covers, editorial stuff and things like that. So we are getting out there in different avenues, as far as fashion, beauty, but also too, I think the biggest thing for me as far as improvements of the nail industry, the nail community, is in regards to highlighting Black nail artists and nail techs and Black presto nail artists, because I don't think Black people in the industry alone get enough credit. You know what I mean? And another factor as far as the nail industry is also the racism. So that's another thing as well.
I would have to say you are so on point with that. Very, very true. It happens in a lot of industries, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of type of where certain race dominates um, that certain industry. The only time that I've ever experienced something like this was actually working at Hooters. I haven't experienced it
Mm.
as a nail tech whatsoever,
Right.
but
Mhm.
I'll use it as an example. And
Mhm.
Hooters has a type of girl next door type of look that they were supposed to have, and
Mhm.
I didn't fit that look. But I worked at Hooters in
Mhm.
Las Vegas, so it made it
Mhm.
a little bit different. And I got told so many times of how I was supposed to wear my hair, the type of makeup I was supposed to wear, all this
Right.
other stuff. And it was just based on me not fitting the norm of what they wanted us to be. Like, okay, well, people that work at
Right.
Hooters are supposed to be blonde and blue eyed and skinny and da da da. And they was,
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but they were supposed to have fake boobs or something like that. And I was like,
Right.
well, I don't look like that. And I do really well here. My sales are great. People love
Right.
me. They're just like, and they've even noted it. Like, I've never seen someone like you work at, this place before. And I worked at the casino. I didn't work at, just the restaurant. So it was a little bit different. We had a lot of foreigners. We had a lot of people that were probably never been to the Hooters casino before
Right.
because only one. And it was a lot of different things. I've had even customers come in and they're like, I don't want to sit with the Black Hooters girl because that's not normal. And I'm like, really? That's probably the only time I've ever experienced racism in its great form. Was this lady right here. And I loved it because I was backed up by everybody in the store. And she actually was escorted out by security for saying her little nonsense comment while she was
Mm.
sitting there and nobody wanted to serve her. She sat herself and everybody was
Mhm.
like, yeah, we're not helping this lady out. And she was very rude. She was throwing stuff on the way out. And she was just like, oh, this is, how the country is going to get ruined when you're trying to represent people that are in a setting they
Mhm.
shouldn't be in. And I was like, ouch, somebody is mad. But no one really cared. And they all supported me.
Right.
Great. They were like, well, we're not serving her at all. I'm a great time. I'm a great experience. She would have had fun, but she wanted to be angry. So whatever.
Mhm.
That's the only time I've experienced that. But I think that's a
Mhm.
good example because I know that a lot of people, depending upon where you've come from, what your nationality is, and all that, have had their own experiences that they brought to the nail industry. So they felt this way for a certain reason, or they felt that way for a certain reason. I can't speak on any of that, but I
Right.
know and I've heard many different stories. I haven't experienced anything or seen anything in light of representation until maybe when her Black Lives Matter movement had happened. And I did take note of the underrepresentation that we have in many different companies and many different in the industry in general, when it came to even editorials and magazines and stuff like that. Like, credit wasn't even given where it was supposed to be due most of the time.
Absolutely.
So I've seen it, haven't experienced it. I know a lot of people continue not talking about it because sometimes racism is a very hard subject. Somebody's going to get either offended or something's going to get taken the wrong way, which is crazy why that ends up happening for you just trying to be you.
Exactly.
But it is a tough subject. So I know people kind of just don't speak on it because they don't want an outburst of something bigger to come from it. And it's sad that that has to happen for somebody, for just, in all honesty, for you just being you, for you being who you are, you asking to be a part of something that you deserve. Not saying that you're using it as ammunition to get something that you want, but you're speaking from your own truth and why you feel like you deserve this as an artist, and you just happen to be a certain race. So now everybody's losing their minds. So I know that's probably a story for another day.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, my first experience with racism was when I was a little kid. I was like 10 years old. That was my first experience, dealing with and going through racism. And the thing is, like, being at that young of an age, like, my dad had to teach me about racism and how the world works with being black. Being black, you know what I mean? No matter where you come from, whether it's from, if you're from here in the US, or Africa, the Caribbean, or any parts of the world, being black, you have to work a lot harder than anybody else. And that's always been the reality as far as being black in a general scale. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that, other groups would, definitely is something that other groups will never understand, and that's the thing. And I could see where the nail industry sweeps the whole topic of racism under the rug. Like, it just ain't never happened.
And they do. And they do. And a lot of people go with it. A lot of people sit here and fight to get their voice heard. And it's just a lot of back and forth. But I feel like it happens with every topic, whether it be political, whether it have to do with racism, whether it have to just be genders or anything like that. It's crazy how the lack of understanding and just like sympathy that people like don't have when it comes to certain things. But then you have, situations where other people kind of ruin that for us. So it's something that we hope and wish for, and we just strive to change it and make it a better place every day, the best we can. That one,
absolutely.
One voice.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all we can do is, really do the best we can, with what we got and things like that. You know what I mean? To spread awareness, to continue that, you know what I mean? And the thing is, when I look back at like the George Floyd incident, that shook the world. Like, everybody was, in protest, after that incident and things like that. So, it was great to see that a lot more people, no matter where they came from, was speaking out about that issue. And saying like, yo, Black Lives Matter.
And it wasn't just, and I feel like this is where everybody kind of gets confused. It wasn't specifically that issue. It was issues that we've had many, many years. And
for many years,
I think that for the people that were kind of not in agreement with it, they're like, oh, this one thing happens, and all of a sudden everyone's like, no. It was kind of like, the struggle back situation. Like, we're kind of tired of this, and now we want y'all to know who we are. Like, that's where that came from. But they're basing it off of just one situation where we all just, decided to just get real loud. No, we've been loud, but now you're about to hear it today. You're about to hear it.
Ain't nothing new.
Exactly.
Ain't nothing new. But I want to get into the fashion aspect of things. So if you had the Analuisa fashion aesthetic, how would you describe it?
I did not come dressed for what that means right now.
It's so good.
I just thought about it. I was like, why am I in black? I'm a very colorful, vibrant person when it comes to all of my outfits, my brand in general. I just feel like bright colors bring all kind of sunshine, and it just makes you happy. Like, have you ever looked at something pastel and you're like, very gloomy and I'm having a bad day now? Like, you don't. That's kind of where my packaging came in. Like, I feel like it's a little excessive now, and I might tone it down just a little bit, but no one's complained. I think it was kind of
right. Exactly.
But you open it up and you're just like happy, just happy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that a lot of like companies and brands use pink. Pink is a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
popular color in the
Exactly.
industry, and I think that's kind of where I was like, well, I like pink, but I like
Mm-hmm.
everything in pastel as well too. And so the same, exactly what my brand is exactly how I radiate every day, except for today. um, but I've been told that I am a ball of sunshine. I have really good positive energy, and it's not sitting here like, hey, let me toot my own horn. It's naturally how I
Yeah,
am.
right.
I love that about myself, and I love, the interactions that I've had because they've always been positive. Obviously, I've interacted with people and they're like, oh my God, she's so fake and her bubbliness is trash. And I get that a lot. That's fine. That's okay. And these are the people that don't like the colors that I have, and they've talked crap about my packaging and stuff like that. So clearly there's like inner issues that are going on with them why they are unhappy, and it's not my pastel colors. So
Mm-hmm.
I embody exactly what my brand is. I love colors. I love anything that's bright. I love anything that just brings that kind of light and happiness and sunshine. And so
Right.
I want to always stick with this no matter what kind of brand I ever do. I have a few other business ventures that I have in mind. One of them definitely being a hair care line eventually. And I'm just going to know, like, just everyone knows it's going to be colorful. It's going to be colorful. You're
That's
going to
really
see it at
cool.
Target, and it's going to be bright, bold, and you're going to want it in your bathroom. Like,
Right.
I feel like you kind of gravitate towards things that are brightly colored. Not everyone. So there's
Yeah.
a way to do it and do it to where it's
Mm-hmm.
not super heavy. But yeah, that's definitely the fashion aesthetic. Bright colors. It doesn't really matter texture
Mm-hmm.
or type of outfit. It just needs to give vibrancy. And I feel like whether it's neon or pastel, it just screams happy. It just screams
Yeah, right.
confidence.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
screams I'm
Definitely.
there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really cool. And I like your aesthetic because it, like how you said, it's very bright, colorful, very fun, and things like that. I look at like Red Iguana; it has that same vibe too, very bright, bright pink and things like that. Or like with Tickle Pink, it has the pink aesthetic as well. So I like how people are embracing like pastel colors and things like that. Any time of the year. So that's really really cool to see that.
I love it. I love it. I think I had that question. Have someone asked me that before? They're like, "Well, how is NailedAF supposed to work during like winter time?" And I'm like, "The same way it works any other time of the year." They're like, oh, okay. Like I know we have certain colors that go with certain seasons. I totally
Right.
understand that, and there's still a
Yeah.
way to do that, and that's the beautiful thing about nail art. You can have those darker colors, those warmer tones during the winter, but that doesn't change the great
Hmm.
products that you're getting. Just switch it up a little bit. I have
Right.
a few reels that I'll be doing that changes up the colors where you could still use my products and still create. I feel that it doesn't matter the time of year. And some people,
Mhm.
like to be bright all year round. That's definitely me. And I know
Right.
there's more of me out there.
Right. Yeah, right, exactly. Now, how would you describe your hair and skin routine? What are like some of like your favorite products to use for your skin and hair?
um, this is one of those, oh my God, I love this question. That's my question. Um, my hair routine was a journey. It was a journey. It's a lot more simple now. And as crazy as it sounds, my hair and skin have done so much better by doing so much less.
Mhm.
So people think that I have this crazy extensive routine and I have all these like super expensive products. And
Right.
yeah, that's not the case at all. Drink your water,
Yeah.
stop stressing yourself out, take some time to
Mhm.
meditate, do some yoga during the day,
Right.
and your hair and skin will actually work a
Right.
lot more wonders for you than when you think. So of course, I use products. I'm
Mhm.
not saying,
Right.
it's like fully natural. The fully natural thing is kind of like it's a lot. And unless you dedicate your time to making your own hair masks and skin masks and all the other stuff, I don't have that time. I really don't. So I have to use some kind of product. I've already done that mayonnaise trick on my hair, and that was already a lot. And I smelled like mayonnaise for like 2 weeks straight because it would not come out of my hair. So no. And I still don't even think that was a natural process at all, because I know this mayonnaise is processed. It is not full of natural ingredients. Anyways. So less is best, and maintenance. So if you are going to have a routine of less is best, you still have to make sure you maintain. So I get my hair cut every 4 months. I found a good curly hair stylist that, specializes in curly hair. You can't just get your curly hair cut by anybody. You don't go to Supercuts or, trying to sit here and get your curly hair cut, because it's not going to work out. Find you a curly hair stylist if you have curly hair, because this is the routine I'm speaking on, is curly hair. In your area. Products that I will shout out would be Weedad, Curlsmith, and Inner Sense is actually a new brand that I found. You can get all of these from Ulta. The only thing you cannot get from Ulta is Olaplex. You have to be licensed to get that. If you are licensed, you can get this from Cosmoprof I think you're at Salon Centric. I'm not sure. But Olaplex is a once a month thing to just kind of like revitalize, keep those hair bonds strong. So it's not something you use every day, because then this won't really work out. But those are the products I recommend. Test it out. Make sure to wrap your hair at night. Don't be laying on it, doing all kind of crazy stuff, because then it's going to be all matted and gross in the morning. Do I mess up my routine sometimes? Absolutely. Sometimes I just forget, don't feel like putting my hair wrap on, but you'll get the best results by just maintaining, and less is best. So even when I do use product, I'm not using a lot. My wash days are only once a week. Today was actually a wash day this morning. Wash days are once a week. So don't get too crazy, but in order for you to find a good skincare or hair care routine is to experiment. Somebody's going to tell you something, but whatever they do is not always going to work for you. And when it comes to hair and skin, we all got different combinations, different textures, different all kind of stuff going on. So even though I get a lot of people that are just like, oh my God, I love your curls, they're so great, what do you do? And I'm looking at your curls and I'm like, we don't even have the same curl pattern. So whatever I do is not going to really work out for you. But these are the products I suggest. And most of them have different lines of like, for wavy hair or for, colored hair and stuff like that. So they give you a lot of options of what you could try. Yeah, if anybody is interested, I don't mind doing a little list of what I do, and you can kind of base it off of that. For skincare, I hardly do anything. I don't wear makeup. I used to all the time, but it created more breakouts and more crazy issues with my face. I'm more independent, and I don't really have to like go out, and I don't party like I used to and all that other stuff. I don't really feel the need for it. So another less is best situation. Do I get my lashes done? Yes, I do. Did I get my eyebrows microbladed? Yes, I did. So now I just kind of wake up and I'm already good, but everything else is pretty natural.
Yeah, I'm about the less is best type of thing, like drinking your water and, making sure you take care of your hair and your skin and things like that. Like I use like one product for my hair, and my hair is a tighter curl pattern. And the thing is that like, if I do wear makeup, the only makeup I wear is lipstick. So that's pretty much all I wear. I don't wear a ton of like foundation and things like that. That's just me. You know what I mean? So, because sometimes when you have a lot of makeup on, like how you said, it can add like breakouts and things like that. So yeah, I'm kind of the simplistic type of girl too.
Right. And I know that there's people out there that do it and still have flawless skin, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot more layers to that. And I don't got all that time for all the onion layers. I don't got to be like, oh, I got to put this on first and then this after, and then I have to wash it. Like, it's a lot. So simple. Like when you also live a busy life, unless makeup is just like your absolute thing, then it ain't gonna work out. It ain't gonna work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, where do you see your business in the next 10 years?
It's crazy. I'm going to say that I haven't really thought about that, but don't take this the wrong way. I got ADHD, and I always feel like I need to be doing something different all the time. So it's like, okay, NailedAF, that's really great. This is working out. I love it. But I also, like I said, I wanted to start a hair care line. I wanted to start, my own little fashion boutique and stuff like that. So when I get asked that question, of course I want it to be absolutely successful. But then in 10 years, I want to make sure that I have at least 5 to 6 other businesses, all doing well, multiple streams of income, targeting different like industry niches, like all that other stuff. So that's kind of where I see it. Like, I don't need it to be, if it becomes super big, yay. But at the end of the day, I just want to be successful enough to be comfortable. Yeah, I have kids, I have a ton of traveling that I want to do. Life is getting a little expensive. I just want enough goodies to go around for me to be able to just live comfortably. But a lot of the projects that I have started or ones that I have done have been because, not necessarily I've been bored, but because I like doing it. I like, creating like a business baby out of nowhere and then growing it and nurturing it into a business or a baby or adult business, I guess. And then you do it all over again when you start another one. And I get this kind of like high from doing that. So in 10 years, I want to make sure that I've at least opened another 2 different businesses, no matter what they are. I have done, I used to do, when we lived in New York, I used to do sex toy parties. Woo, fun fact. And probably the most funnest parties I've ever done. And it's crazy how like on my little thank you cards, everyone's just like, I thought this party was going to be really weird. And then you threw it and it was so fun. I was so comfortable. I've never been so comfortable even talking about that in a group setting with women. I feel excited to try all this other stuff with my significant other and all this. And I was like, wow, look at me doing big things. So then after thinking about how great that was, you know what, I might sell sex toys too. Like, I just want to challenge myself to be like, can I actually do this? Can I actually sell this? And how well could that go? So kind of where I'm at in those terms. So I want everything to be successful, but my whole thing is to branch off and continue doing other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you had a top 5 list of your favorite nail artists, who would they be and why?
Okay. I will put April Ryan as my first.
Okay.
Not because she's my best friend, but because she was my first introduction into the nail world. Next, this is hard. I'm gonna base everything off of experience because that's as honest as I can be. Shelly's Nails will come in second.
Okay.
She was somebody that I looked up to at the right out of nail school. I loved all her designs. She was pretty big around that time as well too. This is hard. There's a lot of people from the Valentino team that I was absolutely in love with, but Shelly was definitely going to be my favorite. So because I found her, I found all the other girls that were a part of the team and how awesome they were. Noodle, comes in right after that. It was the long stilettos for me. I was just that was like the shape that I mastered first, and I was all clickety clackety all over everything else. It's just so sexy and so aesthetically pleasing. She did her look is amazing. This is so hard. Next, I'll put in. I gotta throw Dev out there. Gotta throw Nails by Dev out there. She makes me feel like a kid again, and how like everything about the nostalgic aspect. I just, that was a great era for me. With our cartoons on Saturday morning and all that good stuff. So besides from it's the art that really stands out for me in terms of that. And many people have done characters and stuff like that, but she brings it to a whole other level that makes it very relatable. Like, you remember this set from when we were kids and we were doing this and stuff like that, just so old school. And I love it. How many have I named so far?
I think you got 4 so far. You got 1 more.
I don't know. There's so many people that I look up to in the industry and so many people who have like impacted like everything. Let's go with, I'm gonna do Dime Nails as my last one.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Yoli are actually really good friends. She used to live out here in Vegas as well too.
Really?
We both went to the Academy of Hair Design together, not at the same time, but that's kind of how we met. And we met through social media as well. We've had lived together. Her daughter is my bestie, just stuff like that. But I've learned a lot from her in terms of like nail art, nail techniques. Anytime that I had a question about certain designs and stuff, I was always able to reach out to her and be like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? I remember when I had called her the Marble Queen for the first time. And I know that definitely rang because her marbling designs are out of this world. And I know
they're amazing.
it's exactly what she loves to do. And I was like, girl, eventually you should start your own ink line for sure. Cause I've had quite a hard time finding some good inks for forever. And I feel like you'd be the perfect person to talk about them. And look what happened. I'm not saying I deserve any credit, but I definitely was just like, girl, you gotta do this. You gotta do this.
Right.
This is what you were made for. And I'm so happy to see all of her success. I know there's a ton of people that I could name, a ton of people that I would love to add to the list, but I think I'm just going to base it off of experience and how I felt coming into the nail industry. I will note that I didn't name any Black artists, but the crazy thing is that I didn't really interact with many of them until I want to say within the last year. Within the last year, a lot of them started finding me. I mean, I can't really like go out and find them unless people kind of share that. Like, I know a lot when Bio Seaweed Gel did, they were celebrating Black artists for Black History Month, and they had a post to where they were tags for all of them. And I was like, oh my God. And I followed every single one that was on that post from Bio Seaweed Gel. And I was like, look at how many they are. They're all so sweet, interacting with me. But a lot of them, like, we don't have an interaction. Or the Instagram doesn't allow me to see their stuff when I follow them.
Right.
Go out and look. I can't really, name them. So I know that there's someone like, why didn't she name any Black artists? I'm gonna tell you why. I didn't really find all the amazing ones that I have found until recently. And a lot of them, I will say this, I've had experiences where I did experience, I don't know if you would consider this racism, but I'm half Filipino. And apparently because I'm half Filipino, that I don't really count as a Black nail tech. So I've had that told to me before, and this was from another Black nail tech. So like I wouldn't understand her struggle because I didn't struggle that way. I did grow up with my mom. My mom was who raised me, and she is Filipino, quite foreign, doesn't know a whole lot. I've raised my mom for sure. And a lot of that has kind of not necessarily like put me the wrong way, but I wanted to just make that known. Like a lot of nail techs that I do know of color that are Black, African American, don't really accept me in their own community. So that's another thing that we need to change as well. Like it's totally understandable that you guys want to stick together, and that goes with any race because everybody just wants to stick to their own. But then when people do want to represent you and help you and speak, help your voice get heard, there's also that like, well, you're not one of us kind of mentality that we do get a lot too. And I think, and I will say this, that the Black community, when it comes to the nail industry, needs to do better about that. Like, I know you guys want to strive and be the best that you can be and stick to those that got your back. But at the same time, you can't be not accepting of people that, want to speak the same voice as you and want to help you out and want to do that. Because when I got told that, I was like, okay, that's cool. So what do you want me to do? Go hang out with all the Asian nail techs? Is that what you want me to do? And they're like, well, you just don't understand our struggle. I look Black. I trust me. I will understand your struggle more than anybody who is, you know, full on Black and looks completely different than I am. Like it is the way that it is. But I remember that, and just in case anybody asks, I just wanted to make that little tidbit very clear. You weren't because they weren't somebody that I was introduced to so early on in my nail industry career. That was a problem because I didn't see a lot of them, and it was only based on social media. We had long hair pretty nails on YouTube for like the longest time. She has been on there for so long, but I didn't find her until I found April. One of our practice hands is named after her. That's Evelyn. And that's how I yeah, we're all named after, all the hands are named after people. There's Analuisa, there's April, there's Evelyn, Lucy is her name, Nicole is her Pomeranian's name. They all come from a certain person. And that's how I met Evie, was actually through April. So not having the recognition that they deserve or not being put out there on social media as they should, it was like I wasn't able to find them until that movement happened, where everybody, or during Black History Month, when everybody wants to shine that recognition. So I guess I'm trying to bring awareness to that. Like I wasn't even able to find the nail techs that I, you know, would love to follow or have become friends with, because it wasn't something that I was being shown or seen. Even in nail school, most of the Black students that were there were all there for hair. For nails, it was a mixture of Latinas or Asian nail techs. And then there was kind of just me and maybe one other girl. But it was kind of like also the industry that they choose to be in and how they dominate. Most of the time it is hair. They do great hair. They were still in school and they were doing hair in the back of the school for people for some good prices. So I think that's another thing, like getting that representation out there. Sometimes it's out there, but we're not being shown who these people are. Like most people don't read magazines before. So even when you're having those magazine editorials and stuff like that, you can't really see them unless you're actually reading those magazines. So that's another thing. Like we got to put ourselves out there, girls. We got to put ourselves out there, interact with, you know, different types of people to get yourself known, so people can get to know you, the type of person that you are, the kind of art that you bring to the table, rather than just like sticking to those people who, you know, got your back. Everybody can have your back. Everybody is somebody you can learn from. So don't always just stick to your own. Go out there, meet friends. You never know what you can find.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I went off on another tangent again. My bad.
So good. Last but not least, where can people find you on social media and how can people support you and your business?
Well, you can find me on at NailedAF. For those that don't know, the AF is actually my initials. That's where I got it from. So Nailed, Analuisa Franklin, and then it turned into like Nailed AF. I think if you search me, I am actually the first to pop up. So I'm really proud about that. I'm also the first to pop up, or my business is the first to pop up on Google. So I was actually really happy about that. I'm top search. And you can support my business in any way that, I mean, if you like me, you're here, you like my products, you like my energy, you like what I bring to the table, a like, a comment, a reshare, or you can shop. But, you know, there's so many ways that you can do that. But I know that people shop with people and companies that they truly love and stand by. And I know that whatever following that I have, whether big or small, are people that really and truly love me for me and what I bring to the table and the products that I dish out. So however many there are out there, I love all of you and thank you for supporting me. I added that to the end.
Well, Analuisa, thank you so much for being on the show. Your work is absolutely great. I love what you're doing. I really appreciate this conversation. I love how you kept it real as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience being in the nail industry. You know, I love how you're about progression and things of that nature. So just thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm sorry it took me so long to get on here with you, but I was so excited for the opportunity. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I've started watching all the older episodes of everyone that you've had on. And I can't wait to see who else gets their chance to be on here again.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye-bye.